Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
We should sign December 31st is what we're saying. And I know the lawyers are working over the holidays on their side. And the biggest thing for the deal is like, it's when you see them spending money on fees. That's when you know the deal's going to, like, it's going to go through. It's when they're just working, like, it's just you and them talking. Yeah, they're committing to it. But when you see the lawyers sending emails, when they're like right now, we get emails going to like the leasing guys because there's a bunch of equipment that we have to take over for the leases for. Once you see those emails getting sent.
So this is the legal due diligence happening now? No,
legal due diligence happens. So they identify all these things, but then the actual papering of the deal and like all the closing execution and everything. There's like your benefits person, your insurance people. Like once they start getting informed, their bank gets informed. That's when you know they've committed to the deal, and then that's when you can be like, okay, we're doing this thing and just fucking got it home. Is that correct?
Now sometimes it happens right away.
Yeah.
But it's also a form of negotiation, and it's and that's how after the deal is signed, in theory, is when the real negotiations start with an Asian deal.
Yeah. And like we're working on delayed fees, or you should be, and we have the monopoly money mindset. These fucking sellers, they do not have that mindset at all. Every dollar they spend is like, that's coming out, like it's not coming back. So they're like, once you see them spend that money, it's a really good thing.
Yeah. This is in Vancouver?
No, Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah. So it's close to my other office. It's like an hour and a half.
And the total top line is?
So we originally started talking to the company when they had their 2021s. So the original offer was 16 million for the purchase price, which was 4 times EBITDA, and the top line's 8.5 million. Once we were finalizing the LOI, their 2022s came in, and it was 4.58 million in EBITDA on 9.8 million in revenue. So we changed it to the purchase price to be 4 times that. And then we've been negotiating for so fucking long now that the 2023s have come in, and it's 5.2 million in EBITDA. But we're just closing based on 2022 numbers. And that's why, and there was a negotiation piece where they believed that their advisors were shit, and they didn't really tell them how like what's normal. So they assumed that all the working capital, all of their billing that they've done up until the close should be theirs. And there was a big disagreement with that, because typically you want that money so that you don't have to dip into your line to fund the deal for the first 3 months or whatever it is. But since they're fucking overperforming, we don't give a shit, because you should have the CFO, someone that can look at the numbers, see the projections, and say, are we good or are we not good? Will we meet covenants or not? And I've got a good guy. We're good, especially because the company's fucking killing it now, and even more so is because it's a high EBITDA margin business, so it's not that capital intensive. Like my other deal where it's tight, you need every fucking dollar you can use, because that shit can swing the other way like pretty quick, and I've seen it.
What are they doing that's increasing the revenues? How are they?
Not much, to be honest with you. I think it's just because everything's gone, like, because it's not like they're not long contracts that they have. They have a lot of just like their vac trucks. They show up, they bill time, and then they move on. And as in the last couple of years, rates have gone up, everything's gone up. So the cost of goods has gone up, and they expect to get a certain margin on all of their work, and they just carried on. So I don't think like there's very little, like it looks like growth, but I don't think there's that much in there. Like they're not hiring lots of people, they're not doing it. Like they don't have that much. It's just what the service they provide is high quality, and people pay a premium for it. Because if you look at 2020, 2019, it's all the same growth. Like it's like steady. It's fucking beautiful. Like you remember when we went through this, and it was like it's like fucking cum in your pants. To be honest with you, like it's good. So hopefully we're just trying to navigate to the close, and we should have it signed soon.
What's the continued involvement of the sellers?
So there's 2 brothers. One's going to be a consultant for 6 months, and he's going to keep doing what he's been doing. And then the other brother is there for 3 years. And then the term of the buyout of the equity is over 4 years. So they want to be there to make sure that the company's running good so they get their money. And we want them there because we want them to keep working, to keep making sure that we perform like this.
And they leave 8-9 million in the business, so they're incentivized.
Yeah, they're incentivized. But we're helping them because they're taking chips off the table. You remember that?
What terms do you have from the bank?
10-year. Okay. I'll add that after, but when we go front. But it's a 10-year amortization, 5-year term. So there's a bullet payment at year 5.
And the interest rate?
Probably 10 now. I think base plus 1 or 2 or
Okay.
there's LIBOR. Yeah.
And we have some of them, not as big as this one, but half as big. There's no interest. You don't bring it up.
To the bank or to the seller?
No, the seller.
No interest to the seller.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
You don't bring it up. We've had guys, like 13, that, well, what interest am I giving you? Are you like? I'm telling you, like I just came from a Chinese girl. Again, I'm her chairman. No good deed goes unpunished. I think I haven't done a deal with anyway. Don't feel sorry for me, but anyway, I mean, the Vietnamese guy is fucking her for practice. He's fucking her in the mouth in front of her children. The deal is so fucking upside fucking. And I said, I want you to explain it just like you just explained it to me. I am the fixer of these kind of things. And she said, well, how are we fixing it? I said, and I helped describe an email right now. Tan, I'm sitting here with my chairman, and my chairman tells me to tell you, go fuck yourself, but I'm going to say it nicer. Unless there's no deal here. But it's a typical Chinese trick, except this guy's Vietnamese, and I'll explain it to you. 50% of the deals you'll do with Asians, Koreans, Chinese, Vietnamese, Cambodian, do this. Well, I'm going to explain it to you then, because I'm going to explain to the whole group what they do. But they're smart. I mean, they've been around longer than most people, and they're fucking smart.
And that's why you need good people on your board.
Absolutely.
So you know, because remember the deal that we had fall apart? There was a Chinese CFO, and you weren't involved at all. But like my guys that I had, like the CEO got rid of, and the guy's CFO that we've replaced too. They didn't really look into the internals. So when we did our quality of earnings, we spent fucking $100,000 on that. It comes back that their EBITDA's dipped, their revenue's dipped, and there's a reason for it because they stopped doing a certain type of work. But our guys that have equity should have been the ones to tell me this, not KPMG. We're paying all this fucking money.
Yeah, and again, some will work their balls off for 2 or 3 or 4%, and some will give you mediocre, if that, effort. And you want to weed that out during the first deal.
Yeah, it's either connections or work.
Yeah,
that's it.
But a lot of them give you both. They're actually sincere about it. They work their asses off, and that's great. And I say that, which is the truth, my directors, even though we were only there a little less than 10 years, the 2% directors got $9 million. And as I said yesterday, the 10% guys got $90 million.
It's a good return on investment.
Yeah.
Back in fucking
one of my directors only made one phone call, Governor Kerry, to the CEO of Citibank, Walter Preston, and he says, Walt, I got a problem. But anyway, we got $155 million off that one phone call. And so but he used to show up here 3 or 4 or 5 times a year to play golf, where he had 13 kids. And so we gave him a little extra because that one phone call, made all the difference.
Yeah.
And he was drunk on his ass when he did it. But
and $9 million back then.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money now, and I'm sure his family's still using that money.
Yeah, they are. Their ski lodge in Vermont is named Pena's Palace. Yeah. But you got to show some alpha characteristics. You got to, not this pushback shit doesn't mean anything. Don't touch him or hit him or anything like that. But you got to do a lot more than push back. Because I read 3 seminars ago, sometime in the summer, I think, I asked the class, show me, before you send out a pushback, even though we're not doing the mentor shit, show me what you mean by a pushback email that you send. And I gave it to Kim to read. I gave it to that before our accountant retired. I gave it to Angus to read. Then I gave it to Sally to read. And he says, if you really read between the lines, this looks like an email where they're trying to reverse some process, which is commonly called for now a pushback. Took 4 people reading the email, because when I read it, I just went ballistic. And pushed back nothing. But you've got to do more than pushback. Our daughter, who just switched big companies to another big company, Fortune 200 company, told me about an incident that her superior, Harvard guy, 31-year-old Harvard guy, got an email from a guy with no college degrees who is the executive vice president. He cried. That was a pushback. And he shouldn't do this, and the guy should be smart enough. He says, if I get an email, if I get any kind of action like this again, just pack up your bags because you're fucking fired. Now that's a pushback to me. Well, I mean, the EBITDAs, I remember when I first saw the EBITDA, I said, fuck, is this a mistake? And, the margins are pretty damn good.
And you said they wanted to wind it down.
Yeah.
They wanted to shut the business.
They were thinking about it. Take the cash and move on.
No.
They're not these people aren't they just live in the woods and built this company. And
It just proves how QLA works against the common sense, because who would think somebody would think about closing a business down? Well, you can buy it.
yeah.
You will buy it.
And there are other people, and very rarely are they really concerned about their employees like they say. But once in a while they are. Not that often, but once in a while they are.
And this was cold call. I haven't had any luck with brokers really. Made offers. They don't like the rolled equity.
Well, it's not in their best interest, but I mean, and even though it's, when I was with an investment bank, I actually tried to do the best. And I remember the old guys, KKR, before they left. Danny, you're giving us a bad name. You can't do this shit. And then they left a few months later, and then I left. I says, give us a bad name. Trying to do the best for the client.
Yeah, some they will take it or do a VTB. I think they have more security with a VTB.
Loan to value.
Yeah. Or sorry, a tellers and a promissory note, depending on the area.
Yeah.
Like a vendor take back, that's what they call it in my area, or some people do, I don't know. But yeah, so some investment bankers, they will accept that, bet more than the rolled equity part, because for whatever reason they don't like that. Because I don't think they're a creditor, technically.
But, like I told you last night at dinner, we've got guys, a couple gals, mostly guys, like Tremaine, that are doing, deals that if you had been doing for 2 or 3 years, of course, he hit it out of the park on the first deal, although the margin is less, not desirable, but it's still, is there. But if you don't ask, you don't get. And the Carlines have, 3 or 4 of the 190 million kind of deals, and they got a half dozen of these. And when they brought their 14-year-old son, I saw he was holding court. They were asking questions about their mom and their dad. His mom and dad. I said, yeah. They get up at 5:30, and I don't, I can't wait till I'm 16 where I can drop out of school, which you can in this country. 16 is through the O levels, and then if you go on to A levels, which is like in America, like a junior college kind of thing. And then you go on to university. And he said that, this is all I know. I don't know anything more.
Yeah. And it's momentum. Like, once you start going and setting your standards, and then you get better and better and better and better. The deals get bigger and bigger and bigger.
And my momentum was stopped by when Iraq invaded Kuwait. I mean, and they owned 30% of the company. I mean, my funding dried up, and the stock went down first 60%, then 70%, then 80%, then 85%, because everybody thought that the Kuwaitis had to sell assets, and I was the biggest assets they owned in America to fund the war. I knew that they had gazillions of dollars, but I ran around the country. First of all, I bought tens of millions of shares more with my own money. I didn't want to infringe on the company's balance sheet. Buy. And it all went, not to zero, but, went to $1, $1.50, whatever. Yeah. But it is possible. And when you get those waves, I mean, you ride those motherfuckers till you're on, it's not that the ocean stopped, you're surfboarding over people and skulls, and, until the momentum is done. Yeah. And I got a few guys that have done that. They're really super.
Would you recommend doing the 60-40 rollover equity to maybe achieve higher deals?
Well, the difference with the 60-40, even though they'll be out of their 40 in, 3 or 4 years, okay, is that you got to do, initially you got to do more deals to get the same numbers, because you're only accruing 60%, or whatever the percentage is. And it will probably be more likely that your board likes that, because they'll see an exit sooner than later. And no matter what they tell you, these old gits, I'm an exception, these guys that are near my age, want to do it for 2 or 3 years to see if they can still do it, and then hit the cash register and get so many millions or whatever. And I told you last night, good news is, because of my age, at any exit, nobody's going to complain that I'm taking most of my money or all of my money, because I'm so old. And they want that. Another thing, it's easier for these guys that are like 60 to 70 or 75. If I only have to run 100 meters instead of 3 miles, I can go pretty much all out for 100 meters, even the old farts, okay? But when they think, well, fuck, we got to do this, we got to do that, they lose incentive. But I mean, we've got a great board member. His first name is Knut, and he's a retired Big Four partner. And he says, I'm way past bouncing my grandkids on my knee. You can only play so much tennis and golf. So I'd rather do deals like I did for 40 years. Those are a blessing when you find those guys.
I just interviewed an 82-year-old last night. Same story.
Oh, that's terrific. When you find those, I mean, that's terrific.
But I was going to ask, what I don't understand about the 60-40 is you're doing 40% rolled equity. Yeah. Why would you do that instead of an earnout or seller finance?
So for me,
just in general, if you would answer it.
He knows the answer. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, because roll equity is equity on the balance sheet.
Correct.
So our banks, if they go, okay, if it's seller finance or a promissory note, it's debt. So it's fully leveraged.
Correct. Okay.
And
to me, that's the only reason to do it.
Yeah. And then so like this company, they need bonding. So you go to get bonding for a job.
Did it do what?
Bonding. It's like insurance for the job, basically. That you'll complete. If you don't complete, then they'll step in and cover the cost to complete your portion of the contract. So if you're leveraged to the tits, they're not. You look bad to them. So you want to look as good as possible. And we kind of say it's a partnership. You still own some of your business. You're taking chips off the table, because this